there are two answers to this. One is there is definitely a security risk regarding the fact that Black Hawk helicopters, attack helicopters, ammunition, biometric devices, night vision goggles, you name it, have been left behind. Some US Afghan veterans said that something to the tune of $80 billion worth of weapons, ammunition, and equipment have been left behind. So that is certainly a terror risk, a security risk that the world is confronting. We have already seen videos of alleged hangings by the Taliban of people from Black Hawk helicopters over Kandahar. That does not bode well. So the second question is, can the Taliban maintain this equipment? At first glance, no, because after a point, these sophisticated equipment need to be maintained, they need to be repaired, and the Taliban they don't have access. However, the Pakistanis do. So it is entirely possible that Pakistan can take some of that equipment and can repair and reuse that equipment. That's one. Second, if the Chinese take some of that, the sophisticated equipment, then the Chinese are very good at reverse engineering and building spares and building repairs. So I don't really subscribe to this view that all of them will rust and sort of go to seed. I think they will be able to rescue some of them and use some of them. So that is definitely a security risk. These are all Afghans. And the Taliban did not face resistance in Afghanistan when they were taking over province after province and district after district for the last 6 months or more than 6 months in Afghanistan. So it's not like it's not like the Taliban are not welcome. Otherwise, there would have been some resistance. There was no resistance, and we need to remember this because otherwise the world is looking at some sort of a hysterical thing about the Taliban and all Afghans getting out. Now, Afghans want to get out because there is an opportunistic. There are also there are two things. One, there are people who have helped the Americans and the Western countries, even India, during these 20 years, who are targets of the Taliban. Those people who are persecuted, who are threatened, must get safe passage out of Afghanistan. If we are not to watch their killing at the hands of the Taliban. But second, there are millions of Afghans who continue to live in Afghanistan who did not object to the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. So they will continue to be there. And third, we are also looking at a lot of opportunistic migration. So that has a different connotation, and that has a different response. So there will be graded responses to the issue of the Afghans left behind. But a fourth one, which we should all be very, very concerned about, is a humanitarian crisis. Afghanistan has a drought. There are millions of people, children, women, who are deprived, who do not have, who need humanitarian assistance from the rest of the world. And there has to be some way of reaching humanitarian assistance to all these people who are in Afghanistan. So I would say that there would be different responses to different problems. The US is very good at making a role for itself, even in the most adverse of situations. So if you notice that there have been reports about the US sharing intelligence with the Taliban regarding Daesh and ISIS. So that's one kind of a bridge that's been built. Besides, please remember that the US has been the one that has been negotiating a peace deal, or rather a withdrawal agreement with the Taliban for the last 1.5 years. So yes, they do have quite a lot of cachet within Afghanistan with the Taliban government. If the US has frozen Afghan assets in the US. They have basically the World Bank aid to Afghanistan is frozen. IMF SDRs to Afghanistan is frozen. Taliban will need American help to unfreeze all of this. So yes, they will play a very big role. Yes, the Russians and the Chinese will play a role that they have not had in the last 20 years. And certainly the Chinese will have to pick up some of the security slack from the Americans. So we will see how that plays out. We will see whether the Chinese actually put boots on the ground, or whether they increase their security presence inside Afghanistan. We will have to see what kind of a security presence the Russians have. Remember, the Russians are also once bitten, twice shy. They were the ones who walked into Afghanistan in 1979 and had to walk out in 1989. If the Taliban, if there are terror groups, extremist groups that cross the border into Central Asian countries, that is the security backyard of Russia. Does Russia then push back against the Taliban? How do they engage the Taliban? The Russians have built bridges with the Taliban over the last few years. How will that play out over the next few months and years? These are all of this bear watching. I think it opens up the geopolitical space in this region completely, and India will of course have to play very cleverly, but we also have to watch to see how the others are playing.